Okay, top 2, income and expenses. So on the one hand, we make the money. On the other hand, we spend the money, right? So that's what we're dealing with here. A budget, and we're leading into budgets. We're going to mostly be talking about budgets tomorrow. A budget is a personal plan for predicting expenses and deciding how to pay for these expenses. When creating a budget, you need to consider short-term goals for things like, summer vacation, and long-term ones like things like retirement. So there's different kinds of things that you want to save up for. If you're just dealing with your short-term needs, then you might not be able to have things in the future. So you really have to kind of look at the whole big picture, okay? And recognize that there are different ways to kind of address each one, okay? So a budget takes into account one's income, expenses, and goals, okay? So we're going to look at these next things, and we're going to classify them as income or expenses. So car insurance, well, you have to pay it, so it's an expense. Groceries, you're paying it, so it's an expense. A paycheck, woo, that's good. That's your income, right? Commission or tips, you're getting paid, so that's an income. Gas for your car, you got to pay for it. Restaurant bill would also be an expense because you got to pay for it. You sold a laptop to a friend, so you got money for that, so that would be income. And you made a donation to a bike-a-thon, that would be an expense. Okay? Now, to prepare a budget, follow the steps below. Calculate and record your monthly income. Record all monthly expenses. And then subtract your expenses from your income. A positive amount means you have money to spend. A negative amount means you don't have enough income to cover your expenses. So, and this is, it's interesting, before you build a budget, sometimes you want to track spending for a month or so to get a sense of that. You might not have the time to do that, but it gives you a better idea if you track it. You may find that you're spending in areas you don't need to, buying fast food instead of cooking your meals, things like that. You can track those expenses and figure out exactly where all the money is going in order to kind of see what's going on. So David recorded his income and expenses for a month in the table below. So he only has 2 sources of income. He has a semi-monthly paycheck of $300 and newspaper delivery of $75. Now, semi-monthly means he gets this twice a month. So in total, he'll get 300 times 2 is $600 plus $75. So his total income is $675. All right. Now, then he has all these expenses. So we're going to add all those up. None of them are repeated. None of them are like twice a month kind of things. So this is his total for the month. So if you add all of those up, you get $692. Now, at the end of the month, David decides to invest the remaining amount of money into a savings account. How much does he have left to spend? He has none. In fact, he's overspent, right? Because he spent more than he made. $692 minus $675 equals $17. So he's $17 in the hole. He overspent. He might have to talk to his mom about lending him some money. All right. I don't know what I was writing there. It just looks weird. Spent. Okay, so it's important to kind of know what your expenses are before you start deciding on things you want to do with your money. Okay, so as mentioned in the previous, there are 2 types of income. Earlier we talked about regular income, which is a fixed amount, and variable income. So fixed amount is like salary, and variables like tips or commissions or contract work. There's also 3 types of expenses. Recurring expenses, they're predictable and they don't change from month to month. So things like your loan payments or your rent or car payments. And then there's variable expenses, things like food or clothing or heating costs. Your heating bill is going to be slightly different depending on how much you use the heater. It's probably you don't pay as much in the summer as you do in the winter. And then there's also unexpected expenses. Oh no, you got a flat tire, you need to buy a new one. Car repair costs, vacations, your sister's getting married and you have to buy a bridesmaid's dress, home renovations, things break down, right? So let's look at another example. Jason's monthly financial records are shown below. Classify each income item as regular or variable. So let's look at what we have. Tips, well, that's variable. Paycheck, well, that's regular. House painting job, that's variable. Once he painted that house, it's done, right? Then classify each expense as recurring, variable, or unexpected. So rent is recurring. Food, well, it's variable. I mean, depends on how many times you eat out as opposed to cooking at home and, that sort of thing. So it can be a little higher, a little lower every month to month. Entertainment, variable. Depends on how many movies you go to. Did you buy a few more video games? Download some things off of Steam this month. That sort of thing. It can change. Loan payment, that should be recurring. Should be the same amount each month. Clothing, variable. Some months you might not even buy any new clothes. Some months you might go on a splurge, like back to school clothes or new job clothes, right? Car insurance. Car insurance would be recurring. Gas. Gas would be variable. It depends on how much you drive. Cell phone. Well, this could be recurring or it could be variable depending on your cell phone plan. So it can be either one. And then miscellaneous would be variable. The next thing it wants us to do is we're going to total the income. So if we total our income here, 3250, that's just adding them all up. And then we're going to total the expenses. So we add all these up and we get 2070. How much extra money does he have left to invest into a savings account at the end of the month? Well, luckily, Jason actually can put money because his income is greater than his expenses. So 3250 minus 2070, he's left with $1,180. So that's how much he can put into a savings account. Okay, so you're going to take some time. You're going to go through some different budget analysis of different people's money, and this should prepare us for thinking about tomorrow, where we're going to actually create a budget and talk a little bit more about a budget. But that's all a budget is. It's a list of your income and a list of your expenses, and you want to think about what you have for each of them, okay? And you want to total them. You want to think about whether your expenses are variable or recurring, so that you can plan for those months where you might have some unexpected situations occur. I used to get so frustrated where I was like thinking I'm getting ahead and then something would break. The sink would break. We had to get a plumber in to fix it. Or, it's like, oh, everything's going good. And then, oh no, something went wrong with the car and you have to get that fixed. Those unexpected things can be really frustrating. Sometimes you want to put a little bit money away just so that you can hopefully prepare for those and not be always sucker punched by those kinds of situations. Okay, so there's going to be some practice to do about income and expenses.